check, mic check.
And we're live here from the Infanity Studios for your Adelaide Sparks Weekly post-game show. Myself, Fredo Cervantes, and I got the one and only
Michael Matthew here, and another tough L for the Sparks as they lose 79-77 against the Washington Mystics.
Yeah.
Tough loss. They've been dealing with these all season, Fredo.
It's frustrating.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it's frustrating. Especially, I understand Coach right now, watching him and on live TV, you know, he said a few words that maybe should have been muted. But you can see his frustration out there. I mean, this tough game, another one, it just seems like I've lost count now of how many close games they've lost under 2 possessions, which is turnovers after turnovers.
Yep.
And, of course, you were talking about it as we were watching about the Jordan Canada turnover.
Yeah, that late turnover.
And it seemed like the same turnover she had in the other game. Like, it just seemed too, like, JC. It's crazy to see the way the season has turned out to be, though.
She's been playing good ball, you know, of course, maybe the leading candidate for most improved player. But the difference between a good player and great player is those late moments that you step up and make things happen. And, you know, with the turnover against the Liberty that, you know, and led to their demise late in that game, and then now this game, a bad turnover. Not only was it a bad turnover, it led to instant 2 points for the Mystics there, which, you know, really hurts, especially when it's your point guard making those mistakes. So, you know, hey, you know, the coach has been saying more lately that this is a learning season and things like that. We did get one spark from the Sparks, which was Zaya Cook. But we said it earlier in the year. I've said it earlier in the year. The season was going to come down to the guard play. We knew that Nneka was a baller. She was going to do her thing. Azare has picked it up and played good basketball. De'Erica has her sparks here and there. But it comes down to the guards. And today, other than Zaya, who made 4 buckets, who had 10 points, the guards combined to make only 3 field goals the entire game.
Besides Zaya?
0 for 4 for Carly, 1 for 5 for Lasia, 1 for 7 Jordan, 0 for 3 for Jasmine. Westbrook was 1 for 2, and then Ray in 3 minutes was 0 for 1. So you can't win games with, you know, this is a game of basketball. The reason why when you look at basketball, guys, girls, the greatest of the greats most of the time are given to the guards because you control most of the game. You bring the ball up. You have to get it into the bigs. And, you know, late in the games, there's a lot of time the guards who have to make the play. And when your guards only make 3 shots for the entire game, they shouldn't even been this close, but they were. The guards have to be much better. The Sparks have to figure out when it comes to the guard play.
I mean, when just talking about JC, though, just herself right now, looking at the type of season she's been having, but looking at the fact that the last 2 games, she struggled from the field. I mean, you saw, like, you know, I asked Coach after the game last game about she shot, 4 for 18, I think it was. And then now this game right now, you know, she played 40 minutes last game. This game, she played 35 minutes.
Yep.
Is she tired? Yeah, it's been a long season. We're towards, like, in the beginning of the 4th quarter of the season right now. Of course, we're almost about 12 games remaining left in the regular season before whether they make the playoffs or not. Of course, that is something that we've been asking them. And of course, since I heard GM Karen Bryant talk about it, saying like, hey, we're not here to kind of tank this season or kind of let the season get away. And to me, it's looking like, well, I mean, there's certain possessions throughout the games that maybe you can do things differently. And I know you talk a lot about the young players, like, hey, give these young players some time to get out there. And it's like, okay, like they got to make a decision sooner or later. Right now, do you rest Nneka for the rest of the season? Of course, Nneka is playing on the 1-year contract right now, whether, you know, that's something we were talking about, whether she's going to go elsewhere or she's going to stay here. The organization seemed to be a little different this year. Of course, you've seen how they've been in the last few seasons. Looking in the way they've developed this season, of course, a lot of the players, even since training camp, they've said, hey, this team is a lot different. It seems like I'm playing for a different type of team, which is kind of crazy to say because Derek Fisher back then, I don't know what he was doing, being GM, head coach at the same time, just kind of let the whole Liz Cambage situation get away. But looking at the Sparks being right now at 9-18, it's crazy to see that they were just recently 7-7. You look at 7-7, and then you go on to 9-18. Just lets you know that they let the season get away.
Yeah, and that 8-game losing streak is really tough. there's still hope because
certainly there is.
It looks like the Chicago Sky is going to lose tonight.
You're right.
So that keeps,
we hope.
Yeah, we're hoping. So that keeps the
crap.
spark at a game and a half back, which is a nice little win streak for them. Will do big things for them. So hopefully they can figure something out. But once again, Nneka tonight, 18-8. She's balling. Azare, I believe she finished with like 19 points. Yeah. De'Erica, 14. But it's going to come down to the wings. If I'm Coach Miller, once I go back in the locker room, I sit the ladies on the side. I'm like, y'all on this side, my wing players on this side. If you guys want to make the playoffs, if you want to let people start to talk about the Sparks more and say more positive things, it's going to come down to you guys being consistently making buckets. There's no way in hell that you only make 3 shots. We're all about 5 or 6 wing players playing. Only 3 buckets go in. Yes, Jordan had 8 points, 7 assists, 8 rebounds, which she gives you that. But for like Lasia and Carly and, Jasmine, like you got to find a way to put the ball in the hoop, especially when you have a chance to steal a game on the road like tonight.
I mean, a surprising pick that you mentioned, Carly Samuelson. She ever since that injury, she went off for like 2-3 games, and she has not been the same. She's returned back on the court for like the last 3-4 games, I think, and she has not been the same. She has not scored over like 5-6 points in either possession. Every other game, she scored a lot of points. She's been shooting the ball, arguably the best shooter in the league.
One of the best shooters,
because she has statistically wise, she was a 90, 50, and 45, I think, player, and which was very good for her. Someone who was on a hardship contract because she got released early in the season, and then a few days later, all the injuries happened. Then they signed her to a hardship. But I think now we've given Coach enough breaks early in the season, in the middle of the season. Like, hey, we understand you went through an 8-game losing streak, which was one of the worst in franchise history. But now you got your players back, so what excuses are really going to be out there? Like, I mean, the guard play has been awful right now.
No, yeah, you still need missing Lexi, so that's why even that last game he was like, man, getting Lexi back because he understands
what she brings to the table. Yeah, she's changes the team.
10 to 15 points a game, which is much needed
and
right now.
And she play makes, and she does a lot.
She can be the closer.
Things.
Like, instead of Jordan having the ball in her hands, you can go Lexi on the pick and roll, where she can knock down.
And they did that early in the season when she got that game-winning layup against Phoenix.
Yeah, she made some big shots. So, it sucks that she can't figure things out, when it comes to her health. But I can't blame anything on the coach at this moment. The game of basketball is built on players winning. Shout out to Diana Taurasi with the Phoenix Mercury, who got 10,000 points. I can't tell you who's been the head coach of the Phoenix Mercury, even when they won championships, because
they just fired Coach Shu. Like a month ago.
But I can't tell you the coaches were because the players are so good that anybody can coach. We got Fredo's brother in the studio. He could be on the sideline and probably go and coach a championship for when you have Diana in her prime and Pondexter, the players that they had then. So it comes down to the players stepping up, making things happen. And right now, the wing play is not really good right now. They have to figure it out. Shout out to Zaya, who kind of broke through tonight.
Finally.
Much love to her. 4 for 7, got her 10 points. Maybe she should have played 8 more minutes, to give her 30
I mean, she only played 25.
Yeah.
So she definitely had the opportunity, especially Canada, the way she's been struggling shooting from the field. Even though Coach is not like switching both of them in and out. But, hey, maybe that's an opportunity where you got to think outside the box at this time. You got to do whatever it takes to try to win these last-minute games because at the end of the season, we look at the record, whether they make the playoffs or not. We're going to look at how many games they let get away because if they're at 9-18, say they win 4 out of the next 10. They end the season at 13. Yeah, but 13 wins, looking at that, it's like, come on, you could have easily made it to 18, 19, maybe possibly 20.
And some of that, those close games, unless you see a terribly drawn-up play, then you like, okay, that was terrible. But some of it is just the players, like not getting stops, bad turnovers, missed free throws. All of that stuff adds up to L's and takes away victories. So the Sparks just continue to put themselves in very, very tough spots. So speaking of Zaya, I understand that Coach loves Jasmine Thomas. That's been his guard most of the She gave a spark a couple games back versus the Liberty. But 0 for 3, 2 personal fouls, didn't touch the stat book at all. She played 9. You give those 9 to Zaya. Maybe Zaya can make a couple more baskets.
She should be the coach.
Hey, hit me up. No, I don't want to disrespect Coach like that. But, he's a veteran, and they just have to figure things out. And, I know he's figuring out this roster, but he has to eventually, like you said, he's going to have to come to a point where he's like, all right, I'm going to just let these young players play, and we just going to win or lose with them playing on the court.
Well, hopefully, man. And before we take a quick commercial break right now, I do want to just shout out Zia Cook. I mean, because, she's been definitely struggling from the field. And defensive-wise, she's been on it, though. No. I think that's one of the reasons why Coach continues to play her, even though she played 0 minutes this past game.
Hard, yeah.
She's going to play hard. And, shout out to her with those 10 points, shooting a few threes, and getting 25 minutes. I want to say, if I recall from my head right now, I think that's her career high in minutes.
Yeah,
I don't think she's played 25. I don't think she's played more than 25 minutes all season long, but she never played no minutes at all until last game. So
I know, like, that might like that spark, like that fire.
Because she's like, I didn't play nothing, and she comes out and plays aggressive. So it's a very good thing for her. So shout out again one more time to Zia Cook. But we're going to go ahead and take a quick commercial break. When we return here on the LA Sparks Weekly Postgame Show, we're going to go ahead and talk a little bit about our player of the game. Even though they did not get this victory, some of these players played amazing. We got to go ahead and give them the credit. We'll talk a little bit more about the game, but when we return here on Infanity TV.
What's up, y'all? It's your girl, Chanel Gwimike, and you're watching Infanity Television. Boom.
Profanity Nation. A podcast for the fans, by the fans. Dive deep into the topics the other shows miss. Raw and uncensored.
And he's going to play team ball. His legacy is at stake.
Rare, hard-hitting interviews with players, coaches, and you, the super fans.
I'm not hating. I'm like, okay, cool. Good.
3 championships in 5 years. He's more than good, bro.
Profanity Nation. Listen live or subscribe on your favorite podcast platform. Powered by Jesse Brown of Keller Williams.
United One Protection Services. With over 30 years of experience, United One Protection Services has more expertise and knowledge than the other security companies combined. Residential, commercial, municipal, or institutional, United One Protection Services does more than just security. We protect your livelihood. United One Protection Services.
We are back. Mike Hill here with my guy Fredo here for the LA Sparks weekly post-game show as the Sparks just suffered another defeat, 79-77 to the Washington Mystics there in Washington. We were sitting here during the break just thinking to ourselves, what can the Sparks do to figure this out? Because when you're so close in these games, it's not like if they're just getting blown out, you would just be like, they're not good enough. They don't have the talent. They're pretty much playing for next year. Maybe you tank for Clark or Angel Reese. But they're a team that are playing, even the Liberty, which is one of the top 2 or 3 teams in the W, played them down to the very end of the game. Mm-hmm. And, the Washington Mystics, they are without Deladon, but they're still a very tough team. Shout out to Natasha Cloud, who's a baller over there, and the former Spark, Brittany Sykes. But, man, like, what can they really do? Like, what can coaching do? What are the players not doing? Like, what's your thoughts, Fredo, for why the Sparks are struggling with these close defeats?
When you look at it, of course, the 3-point ball does make a difference now because that seems to be the part of the game that needs to evolve a little more. And I get it. A coach feels like, the more threes we shoot, we don't want to compete against what we're facing. Of course, that's what a lot of the teams in the NBA face when they're facing the Warriors. Like, we don't want to go 3 for 3s against them. Like, you're going to lose against their own game. But at the same time, when you have opportunities, like, when Azrae, that moment since that day I asked Azari about the 3-point ball,
she's been putting them up.
She's been putting them up. She was like, and even when De'Erica Hamby followed up with the question, she was like, you know what? Let me answer that question as well. She's like, look, we just got to be confident when we shoot it. Like, we will get those opportunities. Teams will back off from the 3-point line when they're getting the ball at the 3. And it's like, you just got to shoot it with confidence. Even tonight, Azari shooting it 3 for 4. The whole team shot only 17 3-pointers, which is kind of like their average. Typically, their average.
I wish they would shoot around 25.
Yeah.
I think if they average 25 threes a game.
They'll make a couple more.
I'm hoping they make at least 10 or 11. I say 10. Right. Which I'm like, okay, we get 30 points from the 3-point line. Let's figure out the rest.
Right.
But, yeah, man, just when it comes to these close losses, I know it's tough as coaches in there. Right. I know it's tough for the team. But they just have to figure it out, man. They're not too far away from trying to get a playoff spot. They just have to, it's just like the small things for them. Bad turnovers late, like we talked about earlier. Missed free throws. All of that stuff they have to be accountable for, especially when you have Jordan Canada, who's been – one of their better players this year. She just has to say, hey, like, this is on me. I made that bad mistake, and they have to, figure it out that way. Yeah. But I know foul trouble early hurt them. I think before half they had like 3 or 4 players with 3 fouls, and most of those players were in the starting lineup. That's why you saw today Coach Miller doesn't usually play the entire team. He played his entire roster that was available tonight. So the foul trouble got them behind. And once again, they had to try to fight back, and they fought back, but just didn't have enough at the end to pick up the victory.
No, they didn't, and especially with Nneka. I mean, Nneka will give you the same typical thing, but you made up a good point earlier when you mentioned about, well, once Lexi's back, she'll kind of fix all these little mistakes and,
fix it. She's going to help.
Well, she's going to help. But, I mean, hopefully it fixes it itself, because her play, her creating off the ball is always good. She's always running off of screens. Even the 2 games she came back. Yeah. That first game she scored like 17 points or 16 points, well. And she played well. The second game she was like 1 for 3, and she only scored 2 points or something.
Just her being on the court,
it makes a difference. And hopefully that's the case that they can maybe look at the last 10 games and be like, hopefully they do get her back. Hopefully soon. Hopefully by next Saturday, because they do got 2 more games coming up on the road. They got one in Washington again, so that's gonna be a good thing to kind of go against the same team, re-look at what mistakes you did and what you can do different over the weekend, and come back out on Sunday afternoon. It'll be a primetime game. They'll be on ESPN. So hopefully they do wake up for this game, and then they go to the Indiana Fever. Yeah. We talked about what happened with the Indiana Fever.
That's a game you have to win.
You have to win, and they took care of business when they were here in LA a few weeks ago.
So their next 2 are
away, one in Washington, one in Indiana, and then they come home on Saturday. Here
so with
Atlanta.
all of these close defeats, make sure you guys follow us, LA Sparks Weekly, on Instagram. Follow all the work that we're doing. Next week we're gonna tell you how many games the Sparks has lost by 4 points or less, because I believe it's a good amount. And I don't really know what the coaches can do when it comes to that. It's just about players have to make plays,
and rebounding the ball, because I forget what game it was. Remember, we were talking about it as we were sitting together.
They got dominated the first time.
No, not that one. I think it's been a few weeks ago when we talked about the possession they had. Like, it was under 2 minutes. They were down close. It was a close game, but they gave those 6 offensive rebounds in the same possession.
And it kind of happened tonight in this game.
Right. So it's like, just grab a rebound. How can you allow 6 offensive rebounds in one possession late in the game when it really matters? And I get it. At the time, De'Erica wasn't playing her very best, which right now, De'Erica, she deserves a lot of credit as well. Everything she's gone through all year long, the pregnancy, having the baby, not really getting a workout put together to get the season started, and being able to perform the way she's been doing this year, it has been just incredible for her. And, she takes her babies on the road. So that's an interesting thing. Like, we talk about it. Like, NBA players don't have to do that. They don't have to take their brand new newborns on the road with them, but these ladies do. So you got to give major shout out to them, and Azari Stevens shooting the ball, and Nneka doing her typical thing.
And another thing I think the Sparks have to figure out is how to create more turnovers defensively and turning those turnovers into buckets. Today, a good, they had 17 turnovers as a team, but they only created 10 turnovers. So if you can get that closer to 20, that's going to help. And 0 fast break points. So that means everything you do is in the half court. You have to find a way to push the ball, push the tempo, and that's what I talked about the entire season. Maybe you play the young Bucks and just let them fly. Say, let's try to push the tempo, because I think a couple games ago we heard from De'Erica, and even the coach sometimes says we're trying to find our identity. Damn it, you done played this many games, 27 games, you're still trying to find your identity? Like, that is terrible. You have to know what type of team are we? Are we a three-point shooting team? Are we defensive first? You know, where we want to slow the game down and play.
Well, they're definitely not a three-point shooting team. They're more, but I guess if you look at it, if you try to pinpoint something, they're more of a defensive type team because they seem at times when they're locked in.
But they're not great defensively.
They're not. They're inconsistent. They're inconsistent, but I feel that if they got to pick something, it got to be their defense. I think that's what they got to ride with. But one thing interesting that I just looked at right now, did you get a chance to see Ray Burrell?
Yeah.
Her stats?
Yeah.
Want to read them out loud?
No, she had 3 minutes. She was 0 for 1, 1 rebound, 1 foul.
Right.
Yeah, so she only played 3 minutes. But wasn't she in there late in the game?
Yeah, right.
So,
right.
So
it really didn't come together again. So
very awkward minutes with that. Yeah. But I think that the Sparks, looking at their roster, how great Nneka is, you don't have to play through Nneka. She's going to get stats. She's going to get her numbers because she's that good of a player. So that's why I believe that they should try to play with some pace. Say, hey, let's crash the boards. Let's everybody sprint. Let's get out. Let's try to push the tempo and get easy buckets. If teams slow us down and stop us from getting the fast break bucket, now we have Nneka as our outlet that we can play through her and Jordan in the pick and roll. But I just don't think that they play with enough pace. When you know, because when you don't have the talent, you can't play half-court basketball. You know, you can't play that style of basketball because you can't just give it to people to go get buckets. So you got to kind of play chaotic. When they had to come back versus the Liberty, remember Coach said we looked really good when we played in the scramble role.
Right.
When
they
we
were
just
pressuring, full court press.
It was just crazy ball that they were playing, just sending like different traps and things like that they were causing turnovers and they were able to come back.
They should do that a lot
that
more.
That should be their playing style.
At the end of every third quarter should be like that. Yeah. Like, you just got to come off and think outside the box.
Fredo, not even third. Right when we start the game,
I mean, first, that would be impressive.
We are attacking. We're trapping the corners.
I guess you'll catch them kind of slipping a little bit coming off after halftime. You'll kind of catch them slipping a little bit. But I mean, with that being said, of course, what else can we do? Move on to the next game.
Before
we do get to the next game, what's your player of the game for this game?
My player of the game. It's easy for me to pick Nneka, or I could have picked Azare. She had 19 and 8.
Right.
I'm going to go with Zaya Cook, the chef. Because she went from not getting any minutes played, DMP, which is the worst thing you want to see for a player, especially for a first-round pick. But then she comes in today, and you saw her knock it down, a couple threes. She made a couple buckets there in the second half. I don't know why she wasn't in to close, but, once again, I'm not the coach. But Zaya Cook, to go from not playing to come in and give that type of spark off the bench, shout out to the chef.
Yeah, and I got to go with and give it to Azare Stevens. I just feel she's been really stepping up, especially in this game. She always continues to shoot that three-point ball, 3 for 4, 7 rebounds, 19 points in 30 minutes. 7 rebounds, in 30 minutes. So that is very impressive for her to just be consistent. And she's going out there every day. I mean, I see her. She's in the gym. She's, working out. She's doing all the right things to play at this level right now. So you got to give a shout-out to Azare Stevens. So hopefully she keeps that up and maintains the pace because this next game on Sunday afternoon.
Part 2, round 2. Once again, they've been kind of used to it. We're going to play this team. We're going to see them again the next time we play.
They've been doing that a lot this year. I mean, that's what happens a lot in the WNBA.
So hopefully the guards look at these stats and numbers and realize they need to have a meeting within themselves and say, Nneka, Azare, and De'Erica are doing their thing. We have to be better if we want to win going forward. And it's going to be on them.
You named it, though. The front court right there. And then we were talking about the back court, how much it's been struggling, especially today. You see the difference. And by 2 points, you get a 79-77 type game. But it's going to be crazy. But hopefully we stay tuned for Sunday. Sunday we do got, again, a rematch, 12 o'clock Pacific time, 3 p.m. Eastern, live on ESPN. Michael, take us away.
Hey, so make sure that you guys, once again, follow LA Sparks Weekly. All right, show some love. Infanity Television as well. Fredo, make sure you follow him on all social media platforms. Me, myself as well. Michael the PG. And we catch you next time. I know they lost, but it's still Go Sparks.
Still somewhat of a victory.